Hi everyone, so in this video we'll be going through the mechanics for Frostwyrm Lair and Kelthuzad's Chamber. These are zones within Naxxramas where you can find the last two bosses Sapphiron and Kelthuzad himself. So first up we have Sapphiron. Now in terms of positioning, the tank should take the boss in the middle circle and face the boss towards the entrance to Kelthuzad's chamber, or vice versa. Now like most standard dragon bosses, Sapphiron both leaves in front and tail sweeps from behind, which is why DPS and healer should stay on one side of the boss to avoid getting hit by these. Given the huge hitbox of the boss, the best spot for melee DPS would be near his hind legs. Sapphiron has a total of 5 abilities. One is Frost Aura, which deals 1200 frost damage every 2 seconds during the entire fight. He also uses Life Drain, which curses 2 random players every 24 seconds, and this deals minimum shadow damage, and it also heals Sapphiron over 3 seconds. Sapphiron also summons Blizzard around the room, and this slows players within its AoE for 50% movement speed while dealing up to 4500 frost damage. Phase 2 starts after the first 45 seconds of the encounter, where Sapphiron will start having flight phases. Upon taking flight, players should back away from his hitbox and spread to one side of the room to avoid getting knocked back to the walls. In the air, he will cast Ice Bolt on 2 random players, dealing frost damage and trapping them in an ice block. Other players should quickly run behind these blocks as Saffron casts Frost Breath, which deals massive frost damage to anyone in the line of sight of the impact. Players will have 7 seconds to hide or else they will die in one shot. Once Sapphiron is at 10%, he will stop having flight phases every 45 seconds, and at this point it's pretty much just tank and spank until the group kills him. Another important thing to note is that Sapphiron drops the key to the focusing iris, which allows players to summon Malygos in the Eye of Eternity. So now we are here at Kelthuzad, who is pretty much the final boss of Naxxramas. Positioning and target assignment here is very important, as well as being aware of everything that is happening in the room. This encounter could last up to 10 minutes or longer depending on how strong the group is, and it is important to note that healing, DPS, and tanking will all play an important factor in this fight, as survivability will be the main challenge. If you noticed, we placed smoke flares to mark each player's designated positions for Phase 2 and Phase 3. But before that, let's talk about Phase 1. So in Phase 1, we begin the encounter with Kelthuzad in an invulnerable state, and everyone will be positioned in the middle circle. This is because ads will start coming from the 7 alcoves surrounding the room, including the entrance. There are 3 types of ads for this phase. The first one will be the walking skeleton called Soldier of the Frozen Wastes. This ad casts Dark Blast when it reaches a player, and this causes around 3000 to 3900 shadow damage to the raid group. The second type of ad are these Unstoppable Abominations, which periodically applies Mortal Wound to random melee targets, reducing the healing that they receive by 10%. This ad will be the priority target of the melee DPS, and they must be killed as fast as possible to avoid them stacking before the encounter reaches Phase 2. The third type of ad are these Soul Weavers that casts Wail of Souls when they get too near to their primary target. This ability hits 3 players and deals around 6400 to 8600 shadow damage while knocking the players back 30 yards. This will be the primary target of the ranged DPS to make sure that they don't get near enough to start casting. Phase 2 starts at the 3-minute and 28-second mark, and Kelthuzad will become active. At this point, players should move to their designated positions, and as you can see, ranged DPS and the healers are properly spread out outside of the inner circle, and the melee group on the other hand are spread out within the inner circle. Kelthuzad has 5 abilities. She will constantly cast Frost Bolt on the main tank, causing 10,063 to 12,900 frost damage, and also slowing his movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds. Kelthuzad also casts Frost Bolt Volley, causing 4,500 to 5,500 frost damage to nearby raid members. Another ability she uses is Detonate Mana, which destroys a portion of the player's mana, causing damage to other raid members around him or her based on the amount of mana that was destroyed. The player will explode after 5 seconds, dealing arcane damage based on his or her maximum mana to all players within 10 yards. This is also why it is important to be spread around properly. She also summons a Shadow Fissure, where a random player is positioned and after 5 seconds there will be a Void Blast that one-shots anyone within the target area with massive shadow damage. Again, one of the reasons why we are positioned as such. Lastly, Kelthuzad casts Frost Blast on a random player, but never the main tank. This spell stuns the player, dealing 106% of the player's maximum HP in frost damage over 4 seconds. Anyone within 10 yards will also get the debuff and ultimately die unless healers fully heal them within 4 seconds. Phase 3 starts when Kelthuzad is down to 45% HP, and she will start calling help from the Lich King. Lich King will then send 2 Nerubian Crypt Lords called Guardians of Icecrown, and the off-tank will be the one in charge of holding these adds until Kelthuzad is killed. These adds use the ability called Blood Tap, which deals 125% weapon damage, and it also increases their damage dealt by 15%. They can use this every 15 seconds and may stack up to 99 stacks. This means that the group needs to kill Kelthuzad as fast as possible or the off-tank will eventually pop. So that is it for this guide. Thank you so much for watching. If this guide was helpful, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!